What if the history you were taught is merely a whisper of the truth? What if the grand civilization of ancient Egypt, the land of pharaohs, pyramids, and golden masks, was not a culture obsessed with death, but a society dedicated to mastering eternal life? They looked at the stars, the sun, and the flooding of the Nile, and they saw not random events, but a cosmic blueprint, a living, breathing instruction manual for reality itself. They didn't just build monuments of stone. They built a spiritual technology so advanced that its echoes still challenge our modern understanding of consciousness, energy, and the very fabric of existence. For centuries, we have viewed Egypt through the lens of archaeology, seeing only tombs, mummies, and relics. But behind this veil lies a profound system of esoteric wisdom, a system where magic was not superstition, but the sacred science of creation, where gods were not distant idols, but living principles of nature, the Neteru, forces that exist within the cosmos and, more importantly, within each of us. They understood the soul not as a single entity, but as a brilliant constellation of parts, the Ka, the Ba, the Ak, each with its own purpose and journey. In this journey together, we will pull back that veil. We will venture beyond the history books and into the inner temples of the Egyptian mind. We will explore the lost art of Heka, the divine power to influence reality through word and intention. We will decode the secrets of their mystery schools and uncover how they sought to transform the human into the divine, to walk the earth as a living embodiment of the gods. This is not a history lesson. This is an initiation. Prepare to awaken the wisdom of the Nile that sleeps within you. To wield the spiritual technology of the Nile, we must first understand the invisible architecture of its universe. The Egyptians perceived creation not as a chaotic accident, but as a meticulously ordered symphony. The name for this cosmic harmony, this divine rhythm, is Ma'at. Ma'at is more than a goddess with a feather on her head. She is the fundamental principle of truth, balance, order, and cosmic law. She is the operating system of reality. Everything, from the rising of the sun to the integrity of your own heart, was a reflection of Ma'at. To live in accordance with Ma'at was to be in tune with the universe. To act against it was to create isfet, chaos, falsehood, and decay, and invite dissonance into one's life and the world. Every ritual, every law, every prayer was an attempt to maintain and strengthen Ma'at. This obsession with divine order stemmed from a deep cultural memory of a perfect beginning, a golden age they called Zep-Tepi, the first time. It was believed that in this distant epoch, the Neteru themselves walked the earth and established the ideal world, infusing the very soil of Egypt with their divine essence. From that point on, human history was not a march of progress towards something new, but a sacred duty to remember, to restore, and to perfectly replicate the perfection of Zep-Tepi. This is why their art, religion, and architecture seem so unchanging for millennia. They weren't stuck in the past. They were holding the line, desperately trying to maintain a sacred connection to a perfect template of existence. Our guides on this path are the sacred texts they left behind, scrawled on papyrus, carved into coffin lids, and etched onto hidden walls of pyramids. We have the pyramid texts, the oldest spiritual writings in the world, which served as a celestial map for the pharaoh's soul to ascend to the stars. we have the coffin texts, which democratized this knowledge, offering it to anyone who could afford a coffin. And most famously, we have what is misleadingly called the Book of the Dead. Its true name is the Book of Coming Forth by Day. This was no morbid collection of spells, but a powerful guide for the soul to navigate the treacherous landscapes of the Duat, the spiritual underworld, to overcome its demons, to have its heart weighed against the feather of Ma'at, and ultimately to be reborn into the light as a being of pure spirit, an Akh. The keeper of all this knowledge was the great netter Sheut, or Thoth as the Greeks would later call him, the ibis-headed scribe of the gods, the master of language, magic, and measurement. It was Thoth who was said to have authored these sacred texts, preserving the wisdom of Zep-Tepi for all time. In understanding this foundation, the law of Ma'at, the memory of Zep-Tepi, and the wisdom recorded by Thoth, we can begin to see Egyptian spirituality for what it was, a practical, powerful system for aligning the individual soul with the divine order of the cosmos.
So, if the universe is a divine order governed by Ma'at, what is our place within it? What is a human being? The Egyptian answer to this question is one of the most sophisticated spiritual anatomies ever conceived. They saw the individual not as a simple union of body and soul, but as a brilliant, multi-dimensional constellation of spirit, energy, and form. To them, you are a walking pantheon. Let's begin with the most familiar, the physical body, the Khat. But to the ancients, this was no mere fleshy vehicle. It was a sacred temple, the earthly anchor for all your higher components. This is the secret behind mummification. It was not a morbid fear of decay. It was a profound act of spiritual technology. By preserving the Khat, they were preserving the resonant anchor, the physical homing beacon that the more mobile parts of the soul needed in order to complete their journey and remain connected to the terrestrial plane. The body was the holy ground where heaven and earth met. Next is the Ka, your vital essence. Imagine the body temple is wired for light. The Ka is the divine electricity that flows through it. It is your life force, your etheric double, born with you, an identical spiritual twin. The Ka is what animates you, what separates the living from the dead. This is why tomb offerings of food, drink, and incense were so critical. They weren't for the mummy, they were nourishment for the Ka, sustaining its energy in the afterlife so it wouldn't fade. Without a sustained Ka, the other soul parts would lose their power source. Then there is the Ba, perhaps the aspect most similar to our modern concept of the soul. The Ba is your unique personality, your non-physical consciousness. If the Ka is the life current, the Ba is the pilot. It is everything that makes you, you. Your memories, your emotions, your character. It was depicted as a human-headed bird for a reason. The Ba had mobility. It could leave the body, journey through the spirit world of the Duat, and then return to the preserved Khat and the waiting Ka. The Ba was the explorer of consciousness, the part of you that experiences, learns, and grows beyond the confines of the physical. Finally, for now, we have the Ren, your name. In our modern world, a name is just a label. For the Egyptians, the Ren was a critical component of your very being. It was a vibrational frequency that held your identity and power in existence. To speak a person's name was to cause them to live. This is why pharaohs had their names inscribed everywhere, inside protective cartouches. It was a form of spiritual insurance. Conversely, to have your name hacked from a monument was to be damned, to be erased from the tapestry of being. To know your own true Ren was to understand the core vibration of your essence. These components, Chat, Ka, Ba, and Ren, are not separate entities. They are a deeply interwoven system, a physical temple, an energy source, a conscious pilot, and a vibrational signature. Understanding this anatomy is the first step. The next is learning how the Egyptians sought to purify, empower, and ultimately transmute this constellation into something glorious.
We have assembled the primary components of the Egyptian soul, the temple of the body, the current of the Ka, the pilot of the Ba, and the vibration of the Ren. But this spiritual toolkit was not merely for existing, it was for evolving. The ultimate purpose of life and the afterlife was a form of spiritual alchemy, the transmutation of the mortal self into a divine being of indestructible light. This sacred process requires us to understand two more crucial aspects of our inner world. First is the Sheut, your shadow. Every person, and even every god, cast a shadow. This was not a concept of evil in the way we think of it. The Sheut was the complex, hidden, and mysterious double of the self. It was intrinsically tied to you, containing your secret desires, your unacknowledged depths, and your latent power. To ignore your shadow was to be incomplete and vulnerable, but to understand and integrate it was to reclaim a lost part of your strength. The shadow was not an enemy to be vanquished, but a cryptic companion to be understood and mastered on the path to wholeness. It was the darkness that gave definition to your light. Second, and perhaps most importantly, is the Ib, your heart. For the Egyptians, the heart was not the seat of fleeting emotion, but the true center of intelligence, conscience, and memory. Your Ib was the living record of your entire existence. Every choice, every word, every intention was inscribed upon it. It was the witness to your adherence to Ma'at. This is why the climactic moment of the soul's journey was the weighing of the heart. In the Hall of Two Truths, the Ib of the deceased was placed on a scale, balanced against the single white feather of Ma'at. If the heart was heavy with deceit, injustice, and chaos, with Isfet, it would be devoured by the beast Amit, and the soul would cease to exist. But if the heart was as light as the feather, pure and true, the soul had proven itself worthy. This brings us to the grand culmination, the ultimate goal of Egyptian spirituality, becoming an Ach. If the soul passed the judgment, a profound transformation occurred. The individual Ka and Ba, having been purified and tested, were fused together in a divine alchemy. This union created a new, transcendent state of being, the Ach. It means effective or shining one. The Ach was a glorified spirit, a being of pure light, immortal and indestructible. It no longer was bound to the cycles of the Duat or the needs of the earthly body. The Ach was a master of both worlds, able to ascend to the heavens, to dwell among the stars, or to intervene in the world of the living, empowered with the divine magic of Heka. This was not reincarnation as a return to suffering. It was graduation. It was the achievement of a permanent, stable, and radiant state of consciousness, becoming a star in the cosmic body of the divine. So the entire system becomes clear. You live a life of integrity to keep your Ib light. You acknowledge your Sheut to become whole. You protect your Ren and Kat. You nourish your Ka and guide your Ba. All of this work
This meticulous soul crafting was for one purpose: to successfully forge yourself into an Ach, a luminous and eternal spirit, finally rejoining the cosmic perfection of Zep Tepi. This grand cosmic destiny of the Ach was not something left to chance after death. It was built, moment by moment, in the crucible of daily life. The Egyptians understood that eternity is forged in the present. So how can we, in our modern world, apply this profound spiritual technology? The temple is still your body, the magic is still real, and the path is still open. First and most fundamentally, you must begin the practice of lightening your heart. Your Ib, your heart center, is a living scroll recording your every action. To consciously purify it is the primary work. The ancients gave us a powerful tool for this, the 42 negative confessions. Before entering the hall of judgment, the soul declared what it had not done. I have not stolen. I have not been deceitful. I have not made anyone weep. I have not spoken with anger. This is not a list of sins, but a guide to harmonious living. Your practice is to turn this into a meditative reflection. At the end of your day or week, find a moment of stillness. Ask yourself these questions, not with judgment, but with gentle awareness. Where did I act out of alignment with Ma'at today? Where was my heart heavy? Where was it light? This simple practice is the active, real-time process of polishing your heart, ensuring it remains as light as a feather. Second, you must nourish your Ka. Your life force is fed by more than food and water. It is nourished by sensation, beauty, and sacredness. The Egyptians filled their temples with the scent of Kifi incense, the sounds of the sistrum, and the sight of vibrant colors for a reason. These were offerings to the Ka. Your practice is to engage in sacred sensing. Choose one sense. Light a stick of natural frankincense or myrrh. Close your eyes and do nothing but receive the scent. Feel it not just with your nose, but with your entire energy body. Let the sacred aroma be a direct offering to your own vitality. Treat your senses not as passive receivers, but as portals through which you can consciously feed your spirit. Third, you must learn to wield Heka, the magic of your word. The Egyptians believed creation occurred through speech, and that this power resides within you. Your Ren, your name, is your core vibration, but every word you speak is an extension of that power. Your practice is one of radical vocal integrity. Treat your words as the magical incantations they are. Before you speak, ask, is this true? Is this necessary? Does this uphold Ma'at? Eliminate idle gossip, cruel criticism, and negative self-talk. Speak your intentions with clarity and authority. This isn't about positive thinking. It is about understanding that your voice is a wand, constantly sculpting the energy of your life and the world around you. These are not complex rituals. They are subtle shifts in awareness. In a world of chaos, Isfet, these practices create a sanctuary of personal order, Ma'at. You begin to build your eternal self not in a tomb, but in your own heart, with your own breath and on your own tongue.
We have journeyed far, from the cosmic principles of Ma'at to the intimate chambers of the human heart. We have seen that the wisdom of ancient Egypt was not a relic to be placed in a museum, but a living, breathing system for spiritual evolution. They left us a map, not of a lost land, but of our own inner potential. A map that shows us we are a constellation of spirit and form, a physical temple, an energetic twin, a traveling soul, and a core vibration, all meant to work in harmony. They taught that the goal of this life is not accumulation, but alchemy. It is the sacred work of transforming the lead of our mundane experience into the gold of a divine, eternal consciousness, the Akh. This isn't a forgotten myth, it is a present possibility. Every choice to act with integrity lightens your heart. Every moment of sacred awareness nourishes your spirit. Every word spoken with intention is an act of creation. The secrets of Egypt are not buried under sand. They are encoded in your very being, waiting to be activated. The pharaohs may be gone, but the throne of consciousness, the power to rule your inner kingdom, is yours to claim. So we leave you with this to contemplate. The Great Pyramids were designed to align with the stars, creating a connection between heaven and earth. You too are designed for such an alignment. What star are you steering by? What part of your own divine anatomy are you ready to awaken? If you seek to continue this journey and unroll the sacred texts of the soul, we invite you to subscribe to the Serpent's Scroll. Join our community of fellow seekers as we explore the forgotten paths to wisdom and unlock the secrets hidden within ourselves. Click the bell to be notified of our next expedition into the mysteries. Until then, walk in Ma'at.